I see a lot of familiar faces here from our partner community, so thank you, partners, for joining us. For some of you, this might be a refresher, but we do have some cool new stuff that we're going to do within demo. Some of you might have gone to Cisco Live and seen us there. Again, thank you for stopping by Egain's booth at Cisco Live, if that was how you got engaged with us. And for everyone else, thank you for joining as well. Hopefully this will give you a good overview of what we do and how we do it. We'll talk about our Cisco and Egain story, and then go into a really cool demo to show everyone how this looks like in the real world. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. So today's speakers, first of all, myself, my name is Dan Schultz. I'm the business partner manager here at Egain, and I'll be going through a short little portion of our presentation today around Egain as a whole. And then we have Edo. He's our product sales specialist for Cisco. He's going to be talking about our Cisco relationship and those integrations. And Nathan Barstad is on today as well, our solutions consultant, who will be running us through a live demo of our systems. Our agenda today kind of looks like this. We have our overview. We're going to talk about Egain and Cisco. We're going to talk about a few customer stories. Then we're going to go into the demo that we call the art of the possible. I'm going to talk a bit about IITD, which is Innovation in 30 Days, one of our really cool offers. And then we're going to go into a live Q&A. And again, stay around for the end, because we're going to tell you how you can win some stuff as well. So to start, I want to point this one out, right? So Gartner analysts cite knowledge management as the #1 technology for operational performance, customer experience, and employee experience. And this is really important because knowledge management is the core of what makes everything we do possible, right? That's our core business that makes digital channels and analytics possible, and is really where we tend to shine, right? And our mission here is to deliver contextually relevant information to assist those customer interactions in real time. And as I said, this is the core of our business. And the reason is, customer service representatives spend up to 20% of their time just trying to understand the question, or just searching for the correct information and trying to respond to the customer. And employees struggle with this same thing when they're looking to find information for, on the self-service side, on the website. So what we try to do is improve the delivery of that contextual knowledge to the agent, or through self-service knowledge to the customer, to reduce that time to that resolution. And we can reduce it up to 80% and really start raising that agent competency in real time, and raise that customer satisfaction around all those communication channels. So that's essentially our mission, right? And we take the knowledge management piece as the core of that and build out into everything else we do. And this is kind of how we make that happen, right? So this is a schematic of kind of how we enable transformation for our clients. And I'll walk you through this a bit. So the outer ring here is what we call an interaction layer. And this is what channels your business is using to interact with customers. And so we provide all of these channels out of the box from our cloud, ready to go in hours and days, not months, right? So this is all very quickly integrated and seamlessly integrated. And if you've already made investments in some of these, we use our APIs and connectors to integrate seamlessly into these channels. So this is really the communication that's happening across the board between you and your customers. The centerpiece here is our hubs, and this is kind of how we enable the business to manage all those incoming customer contacts, right? It's how we automate things, how we understand which things need to get escalated, how you provide your agents with that correct, compliant answer every single time. And so we do that through 3 hubs, which we'll get into a bit more. But first is this conversation hub, right? That's routing, queues, and the automation. So you can think about that as that umbrella at the top is the conversations that are happening. Then we have our knowledge hub, which uses proprietary AI to provide that right answer, or the intelligent process guidance to get to the right answer at that exact point of contact where it's needed. So whether that's virtual assistants, whether that's chat, whether that's over the phone, through self-service, the knowledge hub is what makes that all possible to get the right answer quickly. The analytics hub is where we provide both kind of the operational data and what we call strategic insights. So that's where you manage and improve, all of your service operations. So we have within that digital analytics, we can integrate with voice analytics, and we use machine learning to monitor these analytics so the business can shift, or they can pivot on certain data. So for example, if the business is seasonal, right, we can see that through analytics and machine learning. If there's more chats coming in than there is phone calls, we can see that, and the business can kind of shift on that, and machine learning will kind of alert that this is happening, right? Also, if you see knowledge articles that are being used or unused, right, it can shift to, hey, this is a good piece, this is not a great piece to use, and the business can shift on that as well. And then you look at the bottom layer, and this is how we connect and really leverage the existing investments that you already made. And this is with our called rich out-of-the-box integration capabilities for all these existing applications. So you can see here we have e-commerce, CRMs, CMS systems, your intranet, and then obviously contact center telephony, which we'll be talking today in regards to Cisco. We bring all of this stuff together in what we call a single pane of glass agent desktop. That's where the agent has this one 360-degree customer view and how they drive those huge productivity gains by being able to serve those clients better through one unique dashboard that gives them all the conversations they have and all the relevant customer information and that contextual guidance through knowledge management. And then a bit about kind of what sets us apart from the pack, right? Again, I'm going to say knowledge management. You're going to hear knowledge 100 times today. So knowledge management AI setting us apart. Our AI with that parallel reasoning, being able to deliver personalized content, whether that be the customer agent, the machine learning service I talked about, and then built-in collaboration across multiple different systems that you might be using. Our conversation hub for omni-channel, and to bring your own bot architecture, meaning you already made an investment in a virtual assistant. We can work with that, right? With open APIs and connectors, we can work with your existing bots. Virtual assistants I touched on, right? That's the kind of the first touch point when it comes to customer interactions and where our knowledge really plays key. And then the modern advisor desktop with that 360-degree view. Also, our composable platform, right? So the rich connector library, you can actually look at all the connectors that we have available in our marketplace. We'll send you a link after this just so you can see what that looks like. But if you go to egain.com/marketplace, it shows you all the connectors that we have available. Of course, the connections that we have to contact center systems, and then also to things like Salesforce, MS Dynamics, ServiceNow, and SAP. And then lastly, the innovation at scale and speed. So IATD, or Innovation in 30 Days, I'll talk about a bit later. Our deep analytics that I touched on to measure and optimize the business. And then lastly, the virtual coach for financial services. This is a really cool new innovation that we've come up with for financial institutions that really helps clients improve their financial situation in an automated fashion. So we use a really intelligent virtual assistant to walk them through ways that they can save money, get a credit card, get a loan, improve their credit score, whatever it might be. So we've already implemented this within 50 credit unions, and it's working incredibly well. So if you're a financial institution, we'd be happy to demo that for you. Of course, 99.9% cloud uptime. We're built on AWS and Azure, and we have compliance across PCI, HIPAA, SOC 2, and most recently FedRAMP, where we are sponsored by the IRS for our FedRAMP authorization. We have many more certifications that we'd be happy to share with you as well. Wanted to show you this one. This is kind of what we call the NASCAR slide, right? But these are the types of industries that we normally service. You can see financial services and insurance, telecom and media, retail and manufacturing, federal and state government, and healthcare. Of course, we do things outside of this, but I wanted to just kind of show you the breadth and depth of our knowledge in the industry when it comes to the type of clients we serve and the verticals we serve. I'm not going to touch on any one of these right now because we have a couple client stories coming up in a little bit, but this gives you a good idea of some of the kind of high-profile clients that we typically work with on a day-to-day basis. And I can't leave without bringing this slide up. I never can, because you don't have to trust me. You can trust all of the analysts. So for Gartner, we're the #1 for digital engagement, knowledge management, and engagement automation, and for Forrester for our digital-first customer service. And this is the most recent surveys or recent statistics that they pulled up. We've been on the #1 on this list for many, many years. So again, don't trust me. The analysts say the same thing, and this is really something we like to point out, obviously. And then last thing for me, before I hand it over to Edo, is what's the opportunity? So we took this data from real clients, right? This is from our actual client database of what they're seeing as in regards to outcomes from implementing certain Egain technologies. I'll touch on a few, right? First, 45% reduction in call volume. That's obviously coming from being able to use self-service, virtual assistants, and chat as a main function for that first contact. And that reduction in call volume is obviously going to save you money, right? The 100% individual compliance audit trail. let's talk about. The increase in NPS, really big for those of you who are working in retail, the NPS score. The next two here, reduction in training and reduction in time to competency. This is a big one because if you can imagine that we all know the turnover in contact centers, right? But if you can imagine spending 50% less time in training your agents and getting them up to speed to where they can handle calls, this is all powered by the fact that we have contextual guidance and knowledge built into everything. So an agent can step into a conversation and our knowledge will guide them through the entire conversation, tell them what to say, tell them what not to say, tell them, give this link, go to this form, all because it's understanding the conversation at hand and giving them that guidance throughout the conversation. So you can imagine the efficiencies that creates, but it also allows agents to get on the floor earlier and much faster. And then, of course, the increase in first call resolution. Again, this is due to the fact that virtual assistants can front end a lot of this, and our knowledge and AI can front end a lot of these questions, even if they're somewhat complex. And then if it has to be escalated to an agent, the agent has that full 360 view of the conversation that already happened, can take it from there and resolve that contact right on the first call. Again, saving us time, saving us money, and increasing that customer satisfaction. So with that, I don't see any questions in the chat, so we're just going to keep moving forward, keep plugging along. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Edo to talk a little bit about our Egain and Cisco partnership.
All right, thanks, Dan. All right, so this is a visual comparison of ECE versus Egain for Solutions Plus. So as you can see in the first Solutions Plus column is our conversation hub, and that includes chat, mail and social, Cobra, secure messages. It's all integrated within a Finesse desktop to give agent a 360-degree view of current customer information and all interactions. And the second column is the Knowledge Hub. That's the front-ended with our virtual assistant for handling self-service. Then there's the full self-service solution, which provides useful information for the customer, whether that's on the website, cell device, widget, customer portal, or if it's proactively presenting knowledge based on the context of a conversation. There's also the Egain Knowledge solution for the contact center, which is proactively providing knowledge articles, content, and canned responses for agents so they can effectively and quickly resolve a customer issue. It's done through APIs that connect into the knowledge base, and they can also connect to other applications like a CRM or ordering systems. And far right is the Analytics Hub. This is where we measure, manage, and optimize the interactions across voice and digital platform. The business side of the house can literally drill down into the specific channels to see all end-to-end details, whether it's a social, media, SMS, web chat, or email. The business can look into the analytics and different AI processes that are within the system to see what is being used well, what is not working well, or what is resulting in escalations. And with all of our Cisco integrations, we can give a customer analytics across not only digital, but the voice channel as well. As far as the ECE, and for those of you that don't know, might not know this actually, Egain builds the code, the ECE code, and we OEM it to Cisco. Egain does not support it, Cisco does, and any ECE support must go through proper channels to troubleshoot any of the issues, meaning a Cisco tag case must be opened. And Egain for Solutions Plus Conversation Hub, which is what I like to call the ECE on steroids, it offers greater, as you can see here, capabilities and functions. It fully integrates with UCCE, PCCE, and Webex Contact Center Enterprise platform, and it is fully supported and built by Egain. And most importantly, I would like to mention there's no premium licenses required or necessary for Egain for Solutions Plus as there is for ECE. Any question on this slide before I go to the next one? All right, so the connectors for the Webex Contact Center and Egain Knowledge. Egain Knowledge for Webex Contact Center provides a complete, consistent, and efficient solution to any customer inquiry. Cisco interaction details and data attributes, which also include the IVR, can be passed as context into Egain Knowledge. For example, during the agent and customer phone conversation, and within the contact center desktop application, the agent can seamlessly leverage Egain Knowledge resources. The system automatically runs a search within the knowledge base to present the most relevant guidance and knowledge articles to the agent. And information from the customer's record can be used to automatically pre-answer questions, streamlining the process. And with all of our three hubs, we natively integrate with, UCCE, PCCE, and WCCE. We do provide complete out-of-the-box integration or even customized to customers' needs. And whether that's on a Cisco Finesse or Egain Advisor desktop, we do fully integrate with 360-degree view. And as Dan already mentioned on our 180-degree slide, we do that within hours and weeks and not months. A couple of things I would like to mention here is the two URLs. The first one you see on the upper left, the egain.com, Egain for Cisco. It provides you solution availability matrix that you can see on a screenshot right there below. What is working with Cisco Contact Center Enterprise, what is working with Webex Contact Center Enterprise, and what does with the Webex Contact Center. And the second URL here that you will see is the One Mob page that it's for Egain plus Cisco. There are a few slides that I would like to mention. There's the complete Cisco channel team. There's the 1-minute and 22-second demo in here on the contact center desktop with Egain Knowledge on Webex Contact Center, as well as an extended demo version on the Egain Knowledge on Webex Contact Center. Next slide, please. To briefly discuss Egain and Cisco values, I would like to mention that Egain is an award-winning cloud-based end-to-end solution. It provides comprehensive digital engagement from Egain through the Cisco Solutions Plus program. We maximize existing investments by providing Cisco integrated digital channels, virtual assistants, knowledge management, and analytics. Again, not to sound like a broken record, but we integrate with all the enterprise platforms. In addition, we also fully integrate our knowledge with CRMs such as ServiceNow, Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics, SAP, etc. And we do out-of-the-box integrations for all of our three hubs. Again, it's very easily integrated with Finesse and the Advisor desktop. As I mentioned earlier, it doesn't take months. It takes just hours or weeks to implement. And we enhance ECE knowledge base in COIC by providing complete Egain for Solutions Plus Conversation Hub to displace ECE. And we replace shared articles with power and guided knowledge management. And we improve reporting with our analytics without knowledge of SQL. And we do that by a 6-step report builder process. Any questions on the last two slides before I go to the next? All right, thank you. So these are a couple of examples. The TICO, one of their many challenges were inconsistent answers and agents operating from their memory. This particular organization simply wanted to optimize their operations, and solution to the issue was to implement Egain Knowledge into their Cisco Finesse desktop. And by doing so, we reduced agent training time with conversational guidance. There was no need to search through SharePoint for answers. And we reduced agent training, reduced the cost by automating problem solutions with Egain Virtual Assistant and Egain Analytics, which replaced for COIC that provided easy to read and easy to run reports across all the channels. And some of these things that I mentioned will be shown by Nathan in a demo in just a moment here. And the next one is the actual example of Walmart. Could we get a next slide, please? The challenge at Walmart was lack and complexity of reporting. It was controlled and managed by their IT department, with SQL knowledge being a must experience. Solution to this problem was to implement our analytics platform that provided reporting and provisioning capabilities across the entire environment. No SQL, no security segmentation, very intuitive interface, super easy 6-step reporter builder, and many channels reporting options, including reporting on VXML. We also provide about 50, if I'm not mistaken, at least 50 executive reports to Walmart executives that are ran through Egain's analytics platform. So the next step is to show you how this is all done. The agenda is to follow, and before we do that, are there any questions before I turn it over to Nathan for demo? All right, thank you.
I don't see any other questions in the chat. Thank you, Edo. I don't think we answered most of the questions that came up in the chat window. But yeah, as of right now, thanks, Edo, for the overview. Obviously, we have a deep relationship with Cisco for many years now, working with them hand in hand in developing EC and then developing all the solutions plus things on top of that, right? And I saw one of the questions, right, was, you know, without Egain, couldn't Cisco provide this? Yes, and what we're saying is that we work complementary with Cisco to enhance a lot of what they have, right? Enhancing analytics from COIC perspective, enhancing ECE to Solutions Plus, where you get so much more for a very good price point comparatively, and enhancing the knowledge management that goes within that. So great overview, Edo. And now we're going to actually see how this works in the real world and go through a demonstration from Nathan. So Nathan, I'll hand it off to you.
All right, thanks, Dan. Hi, everyone. My name is Nathan. I'm a solutions consultant over here at Egain, and I'll be walking us through today's demonstration. If you could hit the next slide, Dan, so I can look at the agenda for what we have to show today on the demo. So to give you a quick overview of what it'll look like, the primary focus will be knowledge and how we integrate into the Cisco solutions to provide a lot of different features and contextual guidance for agents, and even we'll be showing you how we can deflect a lot of questions using our virtual assistant, which will be the first thing we'll cover. Then we'll go ahead and take a look into Solutions Plus and see how many different types of questions can be handled there when maybe a customer gets escalated through a chat and they have a complex request that needs to be handled by an agent, which is where we will see our guided help come into play. And then once that's all done, we'll quickly touch upon Cisco Webex Contact Center, and we'll look at our Knowledge Hub connector there and see, just give you an example of what that would look like in that particular scenario, similar to what we would have seen before. And then finally, to top it all off, we'll cover knowledge analytics, which is very important because we know that you know, the business, they don't want to fly blind. They need insight into what's going on with their Knowledge Hub. You know, how effective searches are, how well articles are performing, what type of content is being used, what's working, what's not. We have an entire platform dedicated to just that. I'll be showing you a few different reports and dashboards that give you some examples of some metrics that can be measured. And then if we have time for it, we'll quickly touch upon the report builder to see how users can create and customize their own reports to really drill into what they want to see specifically. So at this point, I'll go ahead and begin sharing my screen to take over here so we can hop right on into the demo. All right, so we begin our journey on what we call a website called 8bank. It is a fictitious website that we use for the purposes of our demonstrations, but the first thing I wanted to show you here is what an interaction with a virtual assistant might look like. We'll see its ability to practically give out information as necessary based on the customer inquiries that we put in. So this is the point of view of a customer visiting the website. You may notice that there's a chatbot icon in the bottom right-hand corner over here, so let's click on that, and I'll zoom on a little bit just to focus on the virtual assistant, and you'll see here that it'll immediately greet me with an opening message telling me that it can respond to many different types of questions for, you know, product information, account information, etc. So we'll ask it some questions to see what that looks like. To start off with a simple FAQ, I'll ask, when do I make a payment online? And then the virtual assistant will analyze that message and then simply respond with the information that I am looking for. So in many cases, where it comes into play with our knowledge base. Our knowledge base solution is a single centralized source of information that gets federated out across many different touch points, which can include the virtual assistant. So if need be, the virtual assistant can leverage knowledge base information to provide answers to customers when they ask them here. This way that no matter where the customer goes, whether it's to the virtual assistant or if they speak to an agent, as we'll see later on, the types of answers they'll get will always be consistent. They won't get conflicting information because it all comes from one single source. So that was an FAQ example. The virtual assistant can even handle more complex requests. So if, for example, as a customer, I'm having a hard time figuring out what kind of credit card would suit my needs best, I would say to the virtual assistant, what credit card is right for me? And then here we'll be taking through a multi-step business procedure with the virtual assistant where it asks us follow-up questions based off, the request that we gave it. Obviously, as any good sales consultant would do in order to custom tailor a recommendation to a customer, it's going to need to collect some information from them to figure out what suits them best. So the following options that apply to me, let's just say that I'm a college student, and then it'll ask me to rate my credit score, and we can use some natural language and simply just type in not great, and it will understand that. And then take us to the next question, asking us what is the type of reward that we're mostly interested in. I'll say cash back. And then finally, for our low introductory APR for this credit card, I'll say as long as possible. We can get that. So then at this point, the virtual assistant will compile all of the questions and answers, all of the input we just gave it, and then provide us with a response, which is the Egain College credit card as a recommendation. This also showcases that the virtual assistant has the ability to display full images or even videos that are fully playable within its responses, which really add to the versatility of the type of information that the virtual assistant can communicate to customers when it's answering questions. Another cool thing about the virtual assistant is that it can even act like a guide. So instead of telling me maybe about if I wanted to go on one point of the website and click on certain things, if I wanted to get to a certain page, it can take me directly to where I need to be based on the scenario that I'm in. So here it understood that I have a college credit card as my recommendation, and therefore it knows that it might be a good idea to take me directly to the application page. If that sounds good to me, I'll just simply say yes to being taken there. And then here you'll see the virtual assistant load us on directly to that application page without even skipping a beat. Because the virtual assistant will be able to continue the conversation seamlessly, even when going from this one point of the website to another here. If for whatever reason we did not want to be taken to this part of the website, maybe because we were busy doing something else on the other page we were at, we could instead say no, and the virtual assistant could simply respond with an HTML hyperlink for us to click on, and then we could go there at our own discretion, our own timing, and the virtual assistant would still be able to follow us. So that was an example of how the virtual assistant can act as a guide and also provide recommendations based off complex procedures that we build out. Another example that I also like to show is how the virtual assistant can leverage customer or really back-end customer information using APIs. So if I type in something such as, can you tell me loan status? Here, it'll proceed to verify me through a series of questions and answers in order to give me the information that I'm requesting. So it'll ask me what was the PIN number I used when I applied for the loan, then my application ID number, and then finally, the last 4 digits of my taxpayer identification number. I'll enter that all in, and then the virtual assistant will dip into the backend system, provide me an update regarding my loan application, telling me that it found it and everything's being processed. It's good, nothing is pending, so it should be done by the end of the week, more or less. So that was an example of how the virtual assistant can also dip into backend systems and leverage customer information if needed. So all these processes here that you see, these multi-step procedures that we go through with the virtual assistant are entirely configurable. You just take a simple business use case that you'd want to automate and have the virtual assistant deflect. You build that on out into the system, and the virtual assistant can handle that, based off how you create it, really. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and ask another question in terms of website guidance, and I'll ask, where is your loan application? So here my question is somewhat vague in the way I worded it. So it's going to ask me to clarify what type of loan application I'm looking for. So it'll give me a list of options here to select. I'll say I'm looking for a personal loan application specifically, and then based off that, it'll take me directly to the part of the website that I need to be on. So again, here with the virtual assistant, you've seen how it can act as a really strong frontline support of self-service to deflect many common customer inquiries, whether they're simple FAQs or even complex procedures. So this way, a lot of those low-hanging fruits and automatable requests can be picked off by the virtual assistant before they ever even necessarily need to reach the contact center, which does a great job at driving down operating costs and increasing wait times for customers who do ultimately need to end up in queues and speak directly to agents and advisors. Of course, now we have agents concentrating on more complex requests because a lot of the questions are being automated by the virtual assistant. So now we're going to move on to the portion of the demo where we'll see the tools that we make available to the agent in order to tackle these tasks still very efficiently and easily. So at this point, one thing I'll do is tell the virtual assistant, hey, I'm having a hard time filling out the form. And what happens here is that the virtual assistant recognizes that this is a point in which an agent is more suitable to helping me with this type of request. So it's going to go ahead and seamlessly escalate me through a live chat directly to an agent so that I can I can get help with filling out this particular form. So I was able to understand that that is better suited for them. So now we'll move on over to the Cisco Finesse Solutions Plus desktop, where we'll see that chat come on in, and we'll begin answering any questions that arise with this customer. So immediately here, you're looking at what is the advisor desktop within Cisco Finesse. Over on the left, this is our inbox pane where that chat will be routed to. And once you receive that, we'll be able to get a bunch of more context around this particular customer across the rest of the screen. So we'll go ahead and pull that chat. We'll open up the chat that just came on in. And then here immediately in the reply pane, we can get a full conversational history transcript of what went on between the virtual assistant and the customer, just to bring ourselves up to speed of where they are in their journey. Maybe I'll just go ahead and bottom right here and select from the list of options of quick responses to send a greeting to say hi to the customer. And at this point, I want to show you how maybe if the customer asks for a complicated request, such as figuring out what's the right mortgage for them, and we'll see how the agent can handle that using the tools that they have here. So we'll go on back over to the customer's end, and then I'll simply ask, what is the right mortgage for me? Send that on over. And then as the agent, when I look at this particular question, I might have trouble answering it because maybe I would have never been faced with this type of question before. Maybe I haven't been trained on it. There could be many different reasons, right? So if I want to, leave the customer waiting, I want to go, leave the customer waiting by having to ask for help or read some long PDF document to figure out what's the right process to follow for this question. Instead, I'll just go to the top over here and click this yellow solve button, which will automatically search the customer's question directly on over into the agent-facing knowledge base, which is here on the right. Let me just zoom in a little bit more so we can get a good view of that. So of the list of search results that we're getting for what is the right mortgage for me, the top search result is what we call a guided help article. So I'll click on that. And then here, the agent will be posed with the first question they would need to ask of the customer, whether it is a new mortgage or a refinance they're asking for. What I could do is I'll go ahead and say that they're looking for a refinance. And then we'll ask, and then based off that input, the next best question to ask is whether or not their home is losing value. You can even see that in the system, it's also providing some additional guidance around exactly how we should word certain questions. So any images, videos, context, anything that the agent would need to be aware of while going through a particular step of the process can be made available to them here in this guidance. So let's say that it's gaining value, and then we'll say that the planned length of ownership is 6+ years. And then based off that input that we just gave the system, our recommendation will be a fixed rate mortgage. So that was an example of how, again, here we can go through a complicated procedure with the customer and get complete guidance around, what that process would look like. So that way we don't have to spend time researching, through other coworkers or through, documents on how to address this particular process. But the system is also more intelligent than just taking us down one specific pathway. Because if for whatever reason we maybe answered a question incorrectly or the customer had the wrong information, instead of having to start the entire procedure all over again, instead we can scroll down to the bottom and take a look at the list of answered questions. Maybe instead of their home being, it's being the fact that it's gaining value, let's say that is losing value. We'll update that input, and then based off that, we'll get a new recommendation, which is the declining home value mortgage program. And then we'll just click add to reply to send that on over to our customer. So all this guidance and these processes here are fully, configurable by business users and can be based on any use case or, service flow you can really think of. You just find some type of process that you think that your agents are typically struggling with, and then you build it out into this very comprehensive, guided help process for agents to follow along. Furthermore, in this case, the system was also able to recognize that maybe it might be a good idea to begin an application with this customer because we know that this is the right recommendation for them. So then if the customer is ready to begin the application, we'll say yes after going through all that guidance right there, and then start going through the process of applying them for the mortgage that we just recommended them, which can include steps such as confirming their name, address, phone number. We'll select continue, see if they have all the financial information we need, such as pay stubs and bank statements. We'll say yes. Check if they have homeowners insurance, and then finally maybe do some things on our end within the system, such as ordering appraisals. We'll read some final disclosures to the customer, and then finally, once we're ready, we'll ask them if they're ready to submit the application. They say yes, and then we'll finally have a final resolution article, which is simply thanking the customer for applying. So the simplicity of this process is great because it allows, first and foremost, agent training times to be dramatically reduced, because in order for agents to be competent when using guided help, they don't necessarily have to cram a bunch of different types of information into their heads, but they just have to learn how to use the tools given to them right here, which enables different agents of all different skill levels to find answers very easily and efficiently. It reduces average handle time and improves first contact resolution, and of course, as I mentioned, reduces the agent training time. So at this point, we would have completed this request of the customer. We went through the recommendation process, gave them a recommendation, and even give them an application. Went through the process of applying them to the loan. We were able to close that on out. So let's just say we're done with speaking with this customer. So we'll close on out this article and then complete the interaction we had with this particular customer. Now, at this point, another example of how Egain Knowledge can be leveraged in some of the Cisco solutions. I wanted to go ahead and show you what it might look like within the Cisco Webex Contact Center desktop. So what I'll have happen here is that we'll have a call come in that we can answer, and then in this case we'll look at what a call interaction, how call interaction can be handled while leveraging the Egain Knowledge Hub within this particular platform. So over on the right here, we can click this tab to open up the Egain Knowledge Hub to leverage, Egain knowledge directly here associated with this call. So here we'll have more process guidance in order to figure out what is the answer that we need to give to this particular customer. The system was already able to understand what the customer is really asking about. Because in certain scenarios, if the customer came through, say, an IVR when calling into the business, they might make certain IVR selections. And all of that context that they give during those IVR selections, and maybe any information that is stored about them within the system, can be passed on over to the Egain Knowledge Hub, and more specifically to this process guidance or guided help procedure. So that way, if there's any questions that need to be answered by the agent, and the system already knows about what that information is, what the answer to some of those questions can be, the system can pre-answer really what those questions are. So for example, the system knows that the customer wants to maybe add a driver to their insurance, their auto insurance policy. We did not have to answer that. The system already did it because maybe they made that a certain IVR selection. So that was just a quick example of how the system can intelligently recognize what are some aspects to the customer specific scenario. And then here again, we can go through the entire process of doing things such as entering their policy number, making changes to their account, and in the end, giving them the right information based off what the request is. So that really wraps up the process guidance piece to knowledge. Another thing I also wanted to show you is really how agents can freely browse the knowledge base. So I'm just going to go ahead and hop back on over to the Solutions Plus desktop, and then we'll expand the knowledge portal here. So what we looked at were guided help articles, but there are many other different types of articles that can be displayed within the knowledge solution. And we can search for them freely via a few different methods, right? So this here is a portal that an agent might use to browse for information freely. If they have any questions themselves or need to answer a specific question, they can look for the information themselves here. So at the top we have a search bar, and then below that we have what we call an announcement carousel. So if there's any announcements that maybe the business needs to push towards their end users, they could be displayed right here, where a quick preview of the article's content can be shown to the users. And then below that, you can really see how a lot of the information within our knowledge base is created and categorized. So there's a few different topics here. We have topics for loan applications, my account, verification and disbursement, mobile deposit, and so on. And within each one of those topics, there can be further subtopics or articles found within them. So maybe we could click into loan application, see what other subtopics are there or what other articles are there, and really drill down, by categories into what information it is I want to find. How all this information is, separated on out is really, dependent on how the business chooses to index it. But it really functions as a folder structure, if you will. Now, to also show you what a search in the system could look like, let's go to the top of the search bar, and I'll start typing something called, say vacation loan. As I type out my search, you can see that the system is providing me with a list of search suggestions, just in a prediction for what I might be trying to type out in order to streamline me to, getting to the right information that I would need. A little bit more on that too is that it's even auto-suggesting some articles that I might be looking for that I could click on directly here and get taken directly to their information content. But for the sake of demos, I always like to complete out the search so that we can see what that looks like. So I'll type in vacation loan, and then here you'll see that we'll get a list of search results for vacation loan. These search results here that we're looking at are search results that are searches that are made into the system directly matched against specific articles. And the search algorithm in terms of determining what articles pop up are based off a few different factors within the algorithm, some of which of course can include keyword matching to content within the article name, or even metadata associated with the article could be leveraged as well. We could even refine our search if we wanted to drill down specifically into a type of category based off article tags, or even filter down by topic if we need to. And at the bottom here, we're also getting web search results for vacation loan. So the system can not only make searches, into itself where the knowledge base content is stored, but it can even make searches external, out to other external resources such as websites, content repositories, databases, and any of that information can be displayed directly here for the agent to click on and view if they wanted to. In this case, we designated the search to a Wells Fargo website. So if we were to click on that, we'd be taken to a particular page on the Wells Fargo website. Just one quick example of what we call Federated Search. Now, to show you what a regular article content can look like, I'll just click on what can I do with a vacation loan, and then here you'll see that what the content of an article can look like. Everything within articles are HTML based, so anything that's possible within HTML can be done within our articles. You can stylize everything to your desire. You can put images, playable videos with them, whatever is possible. Even HTML hyperlinks can be embedded directly within these HTML enabled articles, for example. There's a few different options below as well, where we can rate articles on a yes or no basis, whether or not they are useful. If we say this article is useful, it'll get a higher relevancy ranking, which will make it in turn more searchable to users when they do make searches into the system, because it is found to be more relevant, more popular, so it might be a better match. We do have other feedback options in case there's spelling mistakes, missing information we thought that should be in this particular content. We click on the article feedback button to pop out a form and make a suggestion into the system. So that way, if there's any things that we think need to be changed about this article, the backend authoring team can review that feedback and then make changes to the article based off that. In fact, kind of as a segue there, since we would have really, looked at, how the how you can make searches into the knowledge base and how it's structured. We view it to be very important because the knowledge base is a single centralized source of information, right? So whether or not it's being leveraged by agents, whether or not it's being leveraged by the virtual assistant, or even through a self-service portal where customers can access a version of the knowledge base directly themselves, all the information comes from one single source, which is important to ensure that answers are consistent, and also that is much more easy to manage all the content you have. So that way, maybe if you have a piece of content that's being leveraged by both agents and customers on the front end, you can make changes to it in one single location versus having to do it in multiple different spots, which is all done from the authoring console, right? So at this point, we're going to go ahead and take a look quickly at analytics because, with all this information that we have, all this content, and it's all being used up by all of these different, types of users, and we also have a lot of different feedback coming in from, users regarding the content we have. We do have a few different tools to measure all of that. So as I mentioned earlier on in our demo agenda, we do have the analytics platform. And this is just a quick dashboard which shows maybe what a knowledge manager might be looking at. They can see many different common types of metrics, such as what are users asking for, what content is being used the most, how is content being accessed, whether it's through the topic tree, through searches, through bookmarks, etc. And we even have here at the bottom a list of the lowest rated articles. So if we know that articles are being rated poorly, such as maybe this one, or how do I make a payment online, I could click on that, and then over on the right, we'll get a preview of that article content, and we can see below that some of its properties and some suggestions that users have made regarding this particular article, just to give us an idea of how to make it more popular maybe. So we could review these suggestions and then go back to the top and click on that little pencil icon to be taken directly into the authoring console, where we can make changes to its content based off the suggestions and the feedback that we're receiving and all the different metrics and insight that we're getting from this particular platform, this screen. A few other examples is also there's a dashboard to measure web self-service performance. So maybe we have a web self-service portal that's meant for customers to browse knowledge-based content. We can see a bunch of different metrics regarding that, such as session volume, article views by topic, trends in sessions, and all that, and total sessions as well. The next screen shows us some metrics around search effectiveness. How many searches have been successful? What are the most unsuccessful searches? Maybe we can see that certain searches spelled in a certain way aren't yielding correct results. That might give us a good idea of how to maybe make adjustments into the system, maybe with metadata or creating new content to make sure that certain searches that are unsuccessful today would be successful tomorrow, if we were to adjust for that. This is a report that shows us really an in-depth view of what are common searches that are made into the system, how many of them are being made, how many times they are failed, how many articles they return. And then finally here we also have another report that shows us feedback regarding articles. So we can see many different articles that we have within our system. We can see how many views each article got, how many times they got rated, and what is the average article rating that we can see here. Some might be performing better than others. Another quick thing I want to mention before I wrap up is that we also do give users the ability to create and generate their own custom reports. So if you really want to drill specifically into a certain aspect of, the knowledge base or any type of metric you want to take a look at, we go to the top left-hand corner, click on reporting, and then go into build a report to be taken directly into what we call our 6-step report builder. And here we can choose what is the data type, the type of information we want to measure. I might take a look at knowledge base performance, move on to the next step, and then here I have a bunch of different options in terms of what are the parameters I want to measure, what's the time period I want to include, and what are all the different metrics I want to include in my personal report. So to sum up, what's great about the analytics platform is that it gives business users the ability to get a good view into what's going on, what's working, and then with the report builder, they can easily slice and dice data exactly how they want without even needing to know coding languages such as SQL to pull crucial data, which gives them all the insight they would need in for their knowledge hub as a whole. So this pretty much wraps up the demonstration for today. I'll be taking a look at some of the questions we have in chat right after, but other than that, back on over to you, Dan.
So first of all, want to talk a bit about these offers that we have that you can take advantage of. And the first one here is well, not an offer, but our value model. So just want to talk about this a bit. This is our model is designed to map out kind of the returns that you would see from a solution that's really specifically focused on your business needs, your challenges, and what you want from your outcomes. So our value models is we build this case to work with you through discovery to build that compelling case for making an investment with Egain. So this is kind of how we, our methodology within that. And then on the right, you see what we call Egain Innovation in 30 Days, or IITD, which is what you might hear. And this is simply a guided innovation model that is risk-free. It's no cost to you. There's no catch. Basically, what we do is we look at a solution that you're looking to implement. We build it out within your environment within 2 weeks, and then we test that out within your environment, or you test it out for the next 2 weeks. That's no cost to you whatsoever. And then we measure that against your KPIs and look at the outcomes that it produced. And of course, if that is all positive, which in most cases it is, then we can move on with the process of implementation for a full solution. So this is a really great way to experience Egain for a full month and really see what it can do for your business. Simplest way is to set up a follow-up with our team, and you can experience we can go through the process of getting IITD set up through discovery and then go on from there. So if you're interested in that, you can obviously reach out to your team. I'll have contact information for you in a moment, and we'll be sending you out some emails here with all this information as well. This is how you can contact us directly. Our Cisco channel team is at ciscosales@egain.com. For our partners and for all other channels that we cover, all the contact center channels and things like that, Egain partners at egain.com for general inquiries. With that, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Edo. Thank you, Nathan, for presenting. Hope you guys have a great week. Thank you, everyone.